Welcome to the 28th Annual ISHA Awards. Each year, the International Skiing History Association honors the best contributions to the history of our sport in print and electronic media. I'm Seth Mejia, president of ISHA, and it's a privilege this year to present awards for 15 new publications and productions. As you know, this online presentation substitutes for the annual awards banquet, scheduled this year in Sun Valley in March, which we were forced to cancel due to the COVID-19 outbreak. This program comes together through the work of ISHA's Awards Committee, Chairman Rick Moulton, Einar Sunde, and Bob Soden, with the late John Fry, for whom this was the final judging cycle. Because ISHA is a nonprofit association, the program is underwritten by the entire membership, but especially by corporate sponsors and individual donors. Thanks to all of you. Before we start on the awards to authors and producers, we're pleased to honor the Holding family of Sun Valley, whose stewardship there has always maintained the spirit of North America's first destination alpine ski resort, and notably, its history.
Special award to the Holding family for their stewardship of Sun Valley heritage. Opening in 1936, Sun Valley was America's first destination ski resort. To service the slopes, they invented and opened with the first chairlifts. Soon expanding skiing to nearby Mount Baldy, Sun Valley rivaled the Alps with its elegant and well-promoted hotel, restaurants, and skiing, which not only attracted the best skiers, but celebrities, movie stars like Gary Cooper and Claudette Colbert. And Sun Valley had its own celebrities, like Olympian Gretchen Fraser, who in 1948 became the first American to win a medal in skiing, winning two, a gold and silver. From their 1977 purchase of Sun Valley, the Holding family has preserved this history, restored the original buildings, and brought Sun Valley back to its place as a world-class destination resort. Earl and Carol Holding.
I'd like to invite Tim Silva, General Manager of Sun Valley Resort, to say a few words on behalf of the Holding family. Tim, in normal times, I'd invite you up on stage for a grip and grin and a photo op with your trophy, and you'd give a speech. But all I can do now is offer you the microphone for a couple of minutes, and please welcome Tim Silva. Tim?
Thank you, Seth. First, I am sad that we all can't be here in Sun Valley, but I guess this is second best. So thank you so much for putting this together. I am honored to accept this on behalf of Earl and Carol and the entire Holding family. It's interesting. They purchased the resort in 1977, and it was shortly after the purchase, Earl was interviewed by Sports Illustrated magazine, and in that interview, he set out a vision that I think we still operate under today, and I'll give you a little quote from that. He said, "I see Sun Valley as a grande dame that has been sitting on her laurels. There's a tremendous challenge here, and we want to make this place a masterpiece again." And I think it's fascinating that he defined that vision in 77, and his family still is committed to that original vision of taking a great place and just continuing to not only honor its heritage and its tradition, but to do that more difficult work of improving it without perhaps losing the essence of it. And I'd like to think that we are still on that course that he identified years and years ago. It has been a process of constant improvement over the years, from major renovations of the historic Sun Valley Lodge, creating world-class symphony pavilions, major upgrades of the mountain, as you can imagine, over all those years of lodges, and I think just a great lift system. And that just continues with a major expansion that we just completed this year of 380 acres on the northeast side of the mountain, the new Sunrise area, which will open here shortly if Mother Nature cooperates. So very excited to receive this award. It's very meaningful. We're greatly honored. Trying to observe that 2-minute protocol that you mentioned. So again, thank you so much on behalf of the entire Holding family.
Thanks so much, Tim. We promised to come back to Sun Valley as soon as airline travel is safe again. And I think we've actually scheduled our banquet there for 2022. So each year we receive a number of entries which the judges deem worthy of attention by people interested in skiing's history, but which don't contribute to the valuable original research to the field. These works receive honorable mentions.
This year, the International Ski History Association would like to acknowledge and share with you 3 honorable mention awards. These honorable mentions are works worthy of recognition for their historical intent, but whose content did not rise to the level of in-depth presentation or scholarship that our judges are looking for. The first honorable mention this year is for a book dealing with a local history. Skady honorable mention goes to Snowboarding in Southern Vermont, From Burton to the U.S. Open by Brian L. Knight. Our next is a film honorable mention for Abandoned, which offers a journey to and descent down 3 abandoned Colorado ski areas by Grant and Sarah Robbins with Leo DePiccolo. And third is an honorable mention Cyber Award for the website From Chimney Corner, an illustrated history of Slovenian skiing, created by Aleš Gudček.
Now we come to our Uller Awards. The Uller Award is presented for a single outstanding contribution or several contributions to skiing's historical record in published book form. It's named for Uller, the hero god. He was the finest skier and archer in the universe, which of course made him the first biathlon champ. He was Thor's stepson. That will be relevant a bit later in the program. Our first Uller Award today goes to Bill Frank and John Allen for Skis in the Art of War, translated from Russian to English. The book was written in 1912 by Carl Emilius. Emilius was first and foremost a Finn and an expert skier, but in his day, Finland was a province of Tsarist Russia. And when Emilius wrote the book, he was a cavalry officer in the Tsar's army. Emilius had an incredible backstory. At age 17, he fought on the losing side in the Boer War, then in the South American Revolution, then served as a sea captain, then as a sergeant in the U.S. Cavalry. In 1906, he entered the Imperial Military Academy in St. Petersburg, served as an officer near Kiev, earned a degree in archaeology, which was a cover for spying in Ottoman lands, taught skiing and fencing, and competed in the first modern pentathlon at the 1912 Olympics. He wrote this book in Russian to prepare the Russian army for winter warfare. Finland earned independence during the Russian Revolution, and Emilius spent the rest of his life as a Finnish army officer, defense minister, and diplomat. This book is a treasure of early ski instruction. It's translated into English by Bill Frank, who has furnished, along with his collaborator John Allen, has furnished encyclopedic historical context. Bill has been with us in the past. 5 years ago, he earned an Uller Award for his book, Everyone to Skis, A History of Russian Biathlon. John Allen is also an old friend. John won Uller Awards for 3 books in 1994, 2008, and 2011, and was our Lifetime Achievement Historian in 2009.
Now we come to our first Uller Book Award, Skis and the Art of War, by K.B.E.E. Emilius. Translation and commentary by W.D. Frank, with additional commentary by E. John Allen. This project began as a detective story. John Allen was curious when he saw Skis and the Art of War referenced as a source in the research he was doing. He asked his colleague, W.D. Frank, a Russian ski expert, about this Russian book he had seen referenced, but W.D. had never heard of it either. Sharing Allen's curiosity, they finally found a copy in St. Petersburg, Russia. Written in 1912, it showed how skiing was as much a part of the Russian military as it was at the time in France, Austria, and Switzerland. The book's use of photographs, combined with illustrations teaching technique, were groundbreaking. W.D. Frank's careful translation made following up on the book's footnoted sources possible, and led to the collaboration between Allen and Frank, creating the extraordinary notes on these sources that comprise more pages than the original work. These notes blaze a trail through skiing's past, tracing the entire arc of technique as skiing emerged from a pursuit driven by practical military maneuvers for winter into a teachable leisure sport. W.D. Frank and John Allen.
Bill Frank, congratulations on this fine work, and please take the microphone.
Okay, thank you very much. That was a great presentation. So to do a translation or a work like this, it takes a lot of help from other people. And I could spend an hour telling you about all the people that helped me, but I want to thank 2 individuals who were instrumental in the development of this book and the translation of Skis and the Art of War. First and foremost, of course, is my collaborator on the project, John Allen. As you said, he was flipping through this old magazine, La Montagne, when he came across this single reference to the book. And we got together, we found the copy, and we were just kind of batting the idea around in 2017 of doing this. And we weren't really planning on publishing a book, but it just turned out that way. And the most gratifying part of this has been working with John Allen and the friendship we developed as we worked on it. And this extraordinary shared eureka moment, the morning in August, when I discovered who Himalayas really was. And I contacted John immediately that morning, and we were like 2 kids at Christmas. We were so excited. It's the kind of experience that academics like us just wait a lifetime for. The other person is also going to be honored today. That's Art Stegen, whose book on US biathlon you're going to talk about in a bit. I first met Art in 1978 when I was invited, sight unseen, to attend a national biathlon team training camp in Squaw Valley, California. Now, when you look through his book, you will search in vain to find my name because my slow skiing somehow never quite enhanced my poor marksmanship. But at the training camp and then competing at races and traveling with the team over 3 years, I got to meet some remarkable athletes. And a few of them, including Art, had been to the Soviet Union in 1974 to compete at the World Championships in Minsk. And their stories were unbelievable to me. The state-of-the-art stadium at Roubaix, the crowds of 100,000 watching every race, spectators lining the track, 4 deep all around the course. We experienced nothing like that competing in the United States. And our top racers, who skied so much faster than I did, would end up at the bottom of the result sheets there. and the Finns, the Russians, and the East Germans won all the medals. So it was from these athletes that I first heard about the Winter War, and it was at the training camp before the 1980 Olympic trials that I met Heikki Iikkala, Finland's top-ranked biathlete. All of this made a huge impression on me, and although I never did that well in biathlon, thanks to that invitation from Art, the seed got planted to investigate Russian skiing, and the result was the book on biathlon that you mentioned earlier, and this book, Skis and the Art of War, that you're honoring today. So John, and I'm representing John today, he couldn't make it, but we both thank you for the honor, and we're very pleased to accept the award. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you, Bill. I'm very sorry to have mispronounced Imalaeus.
Imalaeus, that's how we pronounce it.
Yeah, would that be the proper Finnish pronunciation?
Yeah, Imalaeus Ima is his full Finnish name.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Mm-hmm.
Fine work. Really enjoyed reading it.
Thank you.
Our second Uller goes to Skispyren, or Ski Tracks, edited by Rudolf Müller and Christoph Töni. This is a collection of 19 academic papers presented at the 2015 International Conference on the History of Winter Sports. 5 of the papers are in English. Of special note are essays on Nazi-era alpine champion Christel Krantz, on Oberberg pioneer Victor Sohm, and on British POWs interned in Switzerland during World War I, I believe in Mürren. John Allen singles out as his favorite Michael Huber's well-argued case that Kitzbühel, rather than the Kandahar race at Mürren, was the cradle of downhill racing as we know it.
Skispyren, Ski Tracks, International Conference on the History of Winter Sports, Rudolf Müller and Christoph Töni. In December 2015, academic presenters from 6 countries discussed the development of alpine skiing and other winter sports at an international conference in St. Christoph, with a section devoted to Austrian skiing. Skispyren is a collection of these 19 papers, with 5 in English. Annette Hoffman offered a reflection on Christel Krantz during the 1930s and her role during the Nazi period. Michael Huber made the case that Kitzbühel founded the venue of downhill racing, rather than the much-trumpeted English race, the Roberts of Kandahar. Other presenters covered a cross-section of lesser-known ski subjects and personalities, with well-known illustrations and good biographies. Skispyren is a welcome addition to the modern analysis of winter sports. Rudolf Müller and Christoph Töni.
Well, we have 2 people here to speak to us. Rudolf and Christoph are both with us. Who'd like to speak first?
Yes, it's me. Thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. It's a great honor for us to get this award. It's very important for us because skiing history and sport history in Austria is not in a very strong position in the academic field. And so it's a big support for our work, and we can use it very well, this support. I want to thank you, Seth Masia. I want to thank ISHA. I want to thank the jury. I want to thank Keith Dillman, who sent us the prize. And I want to thank Professor John Allen, our friend for many years. And at last, I want to thank all our contributors, and their contributions made this publication possible. And I also want to thank Christoph Töni, and I'm glad that I could work together with him, and he will say a few words about the publication. Christoph, please.
Thank you, Rudy. Thank you again for the cooperation and your contribution to this piece of work. And thank you from my side to ISHA for the award and for the very nice presentation. as you have noticed, the book is called Skispuren, which means ski tracks, and it was published as the result of a conference on the history of winter sports. The conference took place in 2015 in St. Christoph am Arlberg in the Ski Austria Academy, a place that is closely linked to ski history in Austria. The forerunner of the academy was the so-called Bundessportheim, which opened in 1923, almost 100 years ago. And pioneers such as Ernst Janner, Stefan Kruckenhauser, and Franz Hoppichler were active in developing ski instructions in this Bundessportheim. Such conferences like Skispuren in 2015 bring together people from all over the world who work in the field of ski history. We have a lot of memories linked to conferences like this, especially good memories to a conference that was held in Mammoth in 2009. ISHA was a part of it, and I would be delighted if we could continue to organize events like this across the Atlantic in the future. In general, the history, the cooperation regarding the history of skiing between America and Europe should be increased, in my opinion. And with this in mind, I would like to thank you very much again. And I look forward to more meetings, not only virtual ones. Yeah, thank you.
Well, thanks so much. Now we come to Unique and Unknown, the story of biathlon in the United States by Arthur Stegen. Biathlon athlete and coach Art Stegen is eager to explain that biathlon began with the original purpose of skiing, which was to chase down and shoot game, as the hero god Uller did, which makes this Uller Award so very appropriate. The book honored here today is a greatly expanded edition of Art's 1979 book, Biathlon. It comprises a full global history of the sport, then tells the stories of America's top biathletes.
The next Euler Award goes to Unique and Unknown, the story of biathlon in the United States, by Arthur Stegen. From biathlon's early beginnings, tracing its international military roots, Art Stegen tells biathlon's story, picking up its American history with the 10th Mountain Division in Camp Hale and following the sport's evolution in this country into the 1950s, when this combination of cross-country skiing and rifle shooting was only for men, and the skiing distance was 20K, roughly 12.5 miles. The shooting was done with large-bore rifles like a 30-06 at distances up to 275 yards. While the first Winter Olympics of 1924 included biathlon, the event was not reinstituted in the Winter Games until 1960. Since then, it has evolved into the modern sport of today, with both men and women competing, using a light .22 caliber weapon at 50 yards. This is a story of how American biathletes have finally reached the podiums in this Nordic discipline, culminating with Susan Dunkley's silver and Lowell Bailey's World Championship gold. Arthur Stegen.
Art, thanks so much. Care to speak a few words?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to first thank the association for honoring me for this book, and would like to also thank Grace Pierce, who helped all the details with publishing it. But I'd like to quickly tell you how I was inspired to write the book. At Pyeongchang in the last Olympic Games, we were standing around in the Olympic House and someone said, "Biathlon? Whoever dreamed that sport up?" And a few of us that were familiar with the sport stood there aghast, thinking, "What? Isn't this very obvious?" When you see a picture of Uller or of the Norwegian Ski Federation of an ancient skier on skis with bows and arrows, it's pretty obvious of where the sport started. And I told the group that, the first historically recorded ski race was in fact a biathlon race in Norway in 1773. and that the origins did indeed come from the military. And as you mentioned, it was part of the very first Olympic Games as a military patrol. But following World War II, it was dropped, and then it evolved into an individual event. And over the years has changed the format to some extent, from the large bore rifles to the small bore rifles, from classical skiing to skate skiing and so forth. And I really enjoyed looking into the people that were involved in this sport. I myself was involved for many years, as Bill Frank mentioned, and we always had to explain to people on an airplane traveling somewhere what exactly was biathlon. And for the most part, it was completely unknown in the United States. And even though it was very popular in Europe, we constantly had to tell people, no, it isn't running and biking and swimming. So as eventually, after that meeting, or at least that little discussion we had at Pyeongchang, someone said, you ought to write a history. And so I thought when I came home, yeah, that would be a good project. And I really did enjoy looking over all the scrapbooks from my former teammates and the people that came before me. And because I was involved in the sport so long myself, I had a good memory of what had transpired over the years. And I decided to put that into a format. And I was completely unaware of what I had to do to publish something like this, even though I had published a previous book. So Grace helped me quite a lot, and I really appreciate receiving the award, and hope I have given some people a little better understanding of the sport as it becomes more popular here in the United States. So thank you, and thank you, Grace.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Bill. I'm sorry, Art. Our final Uller Award this year goes to Leisure Cultures in the Making of Modern Ski Resorts, edited by Philip Strobel and Aneta Podkalika. This is a compendium of 9 academic papers dealing with the transmission of skiing cultures across national borders and across continents. One negative example is the way Polish ski resorts, isolated behind the Iron Curtain, suffered from incompetent management. Meanwhile, Austrian ski teaching methods spread from St. Anton across the entire world, as did Scandinavian cross-country skiing. John Fry called this a serious book for serious historians.
Leisure Cultures and the Making of Modern Ski Resorts, edited by Philip Strobel and Aneta Podkalika. This book is a compendium of 9 heavily researched papers that explore how culture is transmitted across national borders. The work is based on the hot new academic discipline labeled Transnational Studies, how culture is transmitted across national borders. The book examines how ski facilities in Poland failed to develop over 4 decades under the communist planned economy, how Austria's ski technique and teaching methods spread across the entire world. And there are chapters on Swedish cross-country skiing, resort development in Australia and Turkey, as well as chapters that explore the promotion of the sport in America. This is a serious book for serious ski historians. Philip Strobel and Aneta Podkalika.
Thank you so much for the introduction and the video. It's been a great pleasure to receive this award. Also, I want to say thank you on behalf of my co-editor, Aneta Podkalika, who couldn't make it here today. I also think it's very important to thank my colleagues who have contributed to this edited volume and who made it possible. Those were Günther Bischoff, Andrew Denning, Marilyn Cohen, Nancy Dale, Stanislav Jeroszewski, Ono Inal, Daniel Svensson, and Christoph Töni, who is also here today. I actually wanted to say a few words about the book. However, this has become obsolete, as you just showed a great video presentation, and it was absolutely great done. Well done. Thank you for that. The only thing I would like to add here is the fact that the book is not only about skiing and ski cultures. It is also about globalization. And it shows how interconnected our world, or at least some parts, some aspects of our world society, have been already 80 to 90 years ago. Writing and editing this book was not only very interesting for me, it was also great fun. During the course of my research, I have met and interviewed some of the most outstanding and interesting people. They made clear to me how mobile those early ski pioneers were at that time, and how global they thought and acted. It was very common, for example, for ski instructors to work in Europe or the United States during the 40s, the 1950s, or the 1960s during wintertime, and then move on to Australia or to New Zealand during the Australian winter season. And other experts went into entirely different regions of the world. By doing so, I think that's also important to keep in mind. They transported, they imported, they exported, they adapted ideas and knowledge, and thus helped spreading not only skiing, but also ski cultures and all the cultures related to skiing. Well, I think the 2 minutes are well over. Thank you again for the award. It's been a great honor to me, and I hope you will have as much fun and insights reading this book as Annette and I had when we wrote and edited it. Thank you.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Our Scandi Awards are presented for an outstanding work on regional ski history, or for an outstanding work published in book form that is focused in part on skiing history. Skadi was a fabulous hunter and skier, the Norse equivalent of the Greek goddess Diana. Scandinavia is named for her. When she was young, she had a crush on Baldur, more on him later, but through a mix-up wound up married to Njörður, the sea god. She dumped him and ran off to the mountains with Odin, brother of Thor, which made her stepmother to her first love, Baldur, and a kind of great aunt to Ullr. This is what can happen to a young trophy wife. Winner of our first Skadi Award is Heja Persson, Sami Triumph in the Vasaloppet by Isak Lidström. Published in Swedish, this is the story of the Sami backwoodsman Johan Abraham Persson, who beat the best upper-class Swedes in the 1929 Vasaloppet. It was a turning point for Sami cultural identity, and it's a cracking good story.
Heja Persson, Sami Triumph i Vasaloppet by Isak Lidström. Published in Swedish, this is the story of Johan Abraham Persson, who came from a working-class background in Sweden's far north to become its mythic ski hero when he traveled 600 miles from his native Lapland to compete in the Vasaloppet race, and won. Lidström takes us back to the 1920s, when this famous race, currently limited to 15,000 contestants, only drew less than 100 competitors. Before Persson's 1927 triumph in the Vasa, there was a cultural gulf between Sweden's prosperous south and its impoverished northern provinces. Persson's competitors from the south were mostly upper-class amateur sportsmen who prided themselves on their twin virtues of training and regimented practice. But Persson skied for practical reasons. He trained by hunting wolves with his brother. His victory would forever alter Scandinavian ski culture. Lidström provides a colorful account of Persson, the race, and the cultural significance of his Vasa win. Isak Lidström.
Isak, would you care to say a few words?
Well, thank you so much. Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. And first and foremost, I wish to thank the association for this award. It's a great honor and it's a privilege to be considered for an award for my book on the Sami history of ski sport. And I also wish to thank all the people that I interviewed during this project. skiing history in the northern countries is strongly connected with the Sami, the indigenous population who live in an area that stretches across the national borders of Sweden, Norway, Finland, and Russia. And worth mentioning at this event is that Sami athletes historically have a lot in common with the Native American athletes. And what I have in mind are the historical stereotypes stating that the skills of an indigenous athlete are the result of inherited racial abilities. And these stereotypes were visible when John Abraham Persson won the cross-country ski race Vasaloppet in 1929. By shedding light on this particular ski event, my intention has been to contribute not only to the history of skiing, but also to the history of indigenous sport within the Nordic countries. And so far, the Sami history of skiing has been rather invisible. And therefore, I hope that this award can contribute somewhat to an increased interest within this field. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I want to point out quickly that this is the second ISHA honor for Isak. 5 years ago, his book Zorn, Church Races and the Sports Movement, took an honorable mention. Congratulations, Isak. Another skating award goes to Lost Skiers of the Berkshires by Jeremy Davis. Jeremy has become a fixture at these award presentations. He was here in 2009 when he won a Cyber Award for his website New England Lost Skiers Project, or nilsap.org. In 2012 for his book Lost Ski Areas of the Southern Adirondacks. And he came back in 2015 for the second volume of that work, Lost Ski Areas of the Northern Adirondacks. On top of his full-time career as a meteorologist, he's now in his 20th year on the board of directors of the New England Ski Museum and is a valued member of Skiing History's own editorial review board. Today, we honor his latest work, Lost Ski Areas of the Berkshires. Beginning around 1935, with the advent of rope tows, steel-edged skis, and especially ski trains up from New York, some 50 ski areas sprang up in Berkshire County, Massachusetts. Only 7 of them survive. The defunct areas were a colorful assortment of private enterprises, ski club hangouts, municipal parks, and classic racing trails cut by the Civilian Conservation Corps.
Our next Skady Award goes to the Lost Ski Areas of the Berkshires, written by 3-time ISHA Award winner Jeremy Davis. This is the collection of stories about shuttered ski areas of western Massachusetts. Conducting his own on-site archaeological digs of abandoned ski areas, Jeremy has now written this, his 5th book, bringing alive the history of lost ski areas, focused in America's Northeast. While much of the field research is available on his website, the ISHA Cyber Award-winning NILSAP, the New England Lost Ski Area Project, his books draw extensively upon his further ongoing research. Primary sources provide the visual materials like old maps and photographs to paint portraits of these closed ski areas that Jeremy documents, captivating us with his appreciation for them as they were and how they appear today. Once again, Jeremy's unquenchable curiosity for these places enables him to find, explore, and share the slopes that made the Berkshires a skier's paradise. Jeremy Davis.
Okay, take it away, Jeremy.
Thanks, Seth. I really appreciate it. So I'd like to thank the panel and ISHA's for the consideration for this award for the Scotty Award for Lost Skiers of the Berkshires. And a big congratulations to all my fellow award winners for all the work that they do documenting this fantastic sport. When I founded the New England Lost Ski Areas Project 22 years ago in my dorm room at Linden State College in Vermont, I had no idea how many people would be interested in this subject. Since 1998, through contributions from people to my website, by emails and research, we've been able to document over 700 ski areas, former ski areas throughout the Northeast. My goal has always been to make sure that these areas aren't forgotten, from the smallest, briefest rope tow operation all the way up to bigger resorts that lasted for decades. And I was proud to continue that work with the lost ski areas of the Berkshires. In the course of several years of research and writing this book, I was able to document the history of 37 of these former ski areas throughout the Berkshires. The region is just filled with this kind of ski history that dates back to these resort developments over 90 years ago. The resorts kind of ranged from these small rope tow operations, and from snow trains to ski club areas, areas that were full all-inclusive resorts that cater to beginners and families, college ski areas like Williams, and even substantial multi-chair mountains like Brody. And it was a true joy to really chronicle all these places. In some cases, I got to talk to some people just in the nick of time. One person that I got a chance to speak to, just as a quick example, is Roger Picard, who had this small rope tow on the side of Mount Greylock at his family farm and only ran for 3 weeks in 1958. And he suffered a tragic accident on his tow when he was starting it up one morning and was in the hospital for over a year. And it only lasted for 3 weeks. So it only had like a minuscule impact on the Berkshire ski community, but it was an area that was totally forgotten about. On a whim, I tried to see if he was still living and was actually able to connect to him miraculously. And he was so surprised that somebody, a researcher, 60 years later from his tiny rope tow, was interested in his story. And I was just glad to be able to do something like that and document it for the book. And he's passed away very recently. So if I hadn't got a chance to talk to him, his stories and his memories could have been forgotten forever. So that's always been my goal with writing these books and doing NELSAP, is to really help preserve this history that's rapidly fading away, whether it's the people that were involved at these areas or the physical ski areas themselves, which have disappeared back in the landscape. So that's always been my goal with that. I was proud to do that with Lost Ski Areas of the Berkshires, and hopefully continue to do it again for other future books as well. And again, thanks for ISHA, and congratulations to everybody.
Thank you, Jeremy. Now we come to the Baldur Awards. This is a new category for us. The Baldur Award is presented for outstanding works of general interest that also shed significant light on an aspect of skiing history. This is a new, it's named for Baldur, son of Odin and Freya. Baldur was the god of light, joy, purity, and summer sun, and naturally everyone loved him. No wonder Skadi was a big fan. He was a sort of Norse Achilles with a single weakness. His mother had cast a spell protecting him from all living things, but she overlooked mistletoe as obviously harmless. And it came to pass that Baldur died tragically in history's only recorded mistletoe accident. Our first ever Baldur Award goes to Ski Inc. 2020 by Chris Diamond and Andy Bigford. Just a few years ago in 2017, Chris won an Uller Award for his book, Ski Inc., an insider's look at how the ski resort business in North America developed into a well-capitalized corporate tourism and real estate industry. So much has happened in the past 3 years with the rapid further consolidation of ski resort ownership and marketing collaborations that Chris was compelled to bring the story up to date. Chris had a long career at many of the resorts he writes about, and today is a member of ISHA's board of directors. Co-author Andy Bigford had a long career in ski magazine publishing and is now a member of Skiing History's editorial advisory board.
Ski Inc. 2020 by Chris Diamond with Andy Bigford. The book is a sequel to Diamond's Ski Inc., a part memoir, part business history of the modern ski resort, which won a 2016 ISHA Book Award. Now, the author's 2020 offers us a first-hand account of the resort conglomerations over the past 30 years. This book recounts the ascendancy of Vail Resorts and the response to it in the formation of the competing conglomerate Altira. Here is the extraordinarily valuable new history recording the publicly traded Vail Resorts coming to own 37 ski areas and offering access to 60 ski areas through the Epic Pass. And showing conversely the privately owned Altera, coming to own 15 ski areas and offering access to 44 ski areas through the Icon Pass. Diamond explains how independent areas are surviving and collaborating in offering season passes while raising the obvious questions about the challenges they face today. Ski Inc. 2020 is a book full of thoughtful conjecture, its pages spilling with information that will enrich the history of skiing for years to come. Chris Diamond.
All right, thank Chris. Would you care to say a few words?
Yes, Seth, thank you. And thanks to the ISHA team for recognizing our most recent effort. What we've done is a little unusual. We look at business history on the skiing side. I don't think I ever thought I'd wind up doing this, but the reality is no one else is. It's hard to believe that some of the business publications haven't latched onto this, but that's not the case. And so both books really try to trace what's happening on that business side, and what really is occurring is absolutely stunning in terms of the level of consolidation, the advent of the mega passes, as we call them, not only with the big guys, but down to major transformations with nonprofits, small ski areas, little regional giants, and so forth. So it's been a true pleasure doing this. I had access to key execs in the industry. Fortunately, that's what comes with a long career and having worked in most parts of the country. But an area that I was pretty much dark on was the Midwest. And I have to recognize my editor partner on this, Andy Bigford. Andy grew up there and had access to Kircher family and some of the other major players. And that, I think that content and his input really helped to round out the book by really dealing with these areas that have created so many new skiers over the years and continue to thrive in the Midwest in particular. So we'll see what happens next. COVID has thrown kind of a monkey wrench in what I projected for trends and of growth, and I think a fairly positive view as I ended the last book. We'll see how we come out of this, but there might be another one in the works. Thanks so much.
All right. Andy, would you care to add a few words? Is Andy still with us? It looks like, oh, there he is. Andy, ask.
Yeah, I would second what Chris said about the only thing that could absolutely turn the projections upside down, but it was quite an experience to get up to date with everything that had happened over the last several years. And we all think about consolidation being a bad thing for the consumer and something to beware of at least. And this so far has been just the opposite effect because of the creativity at all levels. And it's interesting that the Mega Pass is somewhat an anti-COVID type product in that we have reservations for season pass holders and things like that. But it will be interesting to see where it all leads. And I look forward to doing another book with Chris, and thanks to ISHA.
Well, thanks so much. Our second Balder Award goes to Meredith Erickson for Alpine Cooking, Recipes and Stories from Europe's Mountaintops. This is Meredith's 6th cookbook. She's now working on a 7th. Of course, this is more than a book of recipes. It's a travelogue too. Meredith can't be here with us, so we'll let the video speak for her.
Alpine Cooking by Meredith Erickson. This is not just another cookbook. This incredible work sweeps you up into the Alps and serves up the roots of ski culture, as the author invites her readers to explore the Alps and weaves together her culinary tour, revealing the traditions surrounding 100 years of food and drink, from huts to grand hotels, wine caves to mountainside restaurants, sprinkled with historical references and introductions to culinary stars, the influential chefs, the owners, cellar masters, the bakers, winemakers, cheesemakers, pastry chefs, hoteliers, and alpine enthusiasts. Alpine Cooking shares the heritage and how-to secrets of classic recipes amid a visual smorgasbord of rich photography capturing the people, places, and scenery from the rooftop of Europe. Open the cover and leap into an incredible journey. Meredith Erickson.
Our final Balder Award today goes to the man behind the maps, legendary ski artist James Niehues, by Jason Blevins, with paintings by James Niehues. 15 years ago, I wrote an article for Skiing Heritage about the great trail map artists. Hal Shelton and Don Moss stood out in North America, and Heinrich Biran in Europe. I also talked about Bill Brown and his protege, I'm not sure that's the correct word, Jim Niehues, who picked up the brush from Bill when Bill retired in 1987. Since then, Jim has painted more than 255 maps for about 175 ski resorts around the world. Gorgeous maps that can stand on their own as works of art. With commentary by reporter Jason Blevins, who has covered the Colorado ski resort business since 1997, I think. He'll correct me if I'm wrong. The man behind the maps has been a fabulous success.
The man behind the maps, legendary ski artist James Niehues, by Jason Blevins, with illustrations by Jim Niehues. This artist may be the last of the great map makers. The book showcases his exacting process, in which he first captures aerial shots, then explores the mountain itself, before painstakingly illustrating every run, chairlift, cliff band, by hand, tree by tree. The publishers went all in on the production for the book, with Italian art quality printing, heavyweight matte-coated paper, and a lay-flat binding. The result is a collector's item, a coffee table book offering a definitive look at ski mountains around the world, culled from a 30-year career of portraying them. Here are over 200 hand-painted trail maps, with a rich text by journalist Jason Blevins, and a foreword from pioneering big mountain skier Chris Davenport. As Niehues says, "I knew if I painted with the right amount of detail and care, they would last. A well-made map is used for generations." James Niehues.
Jim, do you want to say a few words before I turn it over to Jason?
Sure, yeah. Thank you very much, and thank you for this honor. One of the first awards for the Balder Awards, and I guess I've been working on this book for about 30 years, but it was in mid-1990s that I kind of thought that maybe I would paint enough trail maps that there would be a good coffee table book. It took a lot more years, and then simply a fan, Todd Bennett, called me or he emailed me and wanted my book, which I didn't have, and he said, "Well, I'd like to put it out for you." And so it all started like that, just a fan, a ski bum that used to go and still does travel all over following the snowstorms and picking up the best skiing. And Todd and Ben Farrell put together this plan and Kickstarter campaign that was just absolutely phenomenal. I just couldn't believe the backing that we got, and we were able to then go forward with just the best material to put it out. And Todd looked up Jason Blevins and wanted him to write it. And really, I think this reward belongs to Jason because of the ski history, the digging that he did, his contacts in the ski industry, and just the great job that he did. This book may be a kind of a dream book with my ski maps in it, but I really feel like the real guts of it is the history and the how-to pages, and he also contacted 7 different people in the industry to write a little perspective, at the beginning of each section that we have in it. So I'll just kind of turn it over to Jason, but thank you very much for this honor.
Okay, well, delighted. Jason, take it away.
Thanks, Seth. Well, big honor from ISHA. Appreciate it. And thank you, Jim, for the kind words. This would not have been anything without Jim's work, obviously. But it was a lot of fun. Fun little anecdote here. The night before we went on to Kickstarter, the 3 fans that put it together, Todd, Ben, and I, had sort of a nervous phone call. We were aiming to sell 100 books. And we didn't know if that was going to be possible. So we pushed our goal down to 80 books. And I think it took like 10 minutes to reach that goal. And, obviously, if you saw it, we sold somewhere close to $1 million worth of books in the Kickstarter. And I think that's Todd and Ben and I knew, everybody on this call knows Jim's maps have really, they've led the way for a long time, and they're such an integral part of our ski lives. We hung them on our walls when we were kids, and he's sort of our guide. So we knew, but we didn't know if anybody else would react, and that's been truly the most rewarding experience in this whole past couple of years, is seeing these skiers come out and show their appreciation for Jim and how much his work has meant to them, and seeing Jim recognize his role. Jim, he's not necessarily, a prominent figure in the ski culture. So he's not, I don't think he had a chance to really get out and know the importance of his work and the role his work has played in so many skiers' lives. So to me, that has been the most rewarding thing about this. It's just been so cool to see skiers come out and come together. They line up for these books, these book signings, and they tell Jim these incredible stories about, just putting them on their walls and calling every resort when they were a kid and putting up all the maps, and then not realizing it till they were all up on the wall that they were done by the same man, same artist. So it's been just a real rewarding treat to see skiers come out and celebrate Jim the way they have. That's been it for me.
Well, thanks so much. We're moving on to the Film and Photography Awards, presented for outstanding contribution to the historical record of skiing in photographic, film, or video format. North Country is the story of Joe LaHoot, who grew up skiing on Cannon Mountain in New Hampshire. Joe returned from World War II service in the South Pacific and took over his family's general store in Littleton, New Hampshire. He added skis to the inventory of hardware, dry goods, beer, and groceries. Nearly 75 years later, today the North Country Ski Shop operates 6 locations managed by Joe's 3 sons and his grandson, Anthony LaHoot, producer of this sweet film.
just the freedom of being on a pair of skis and out in the weather and the speed, the turning, the following somebody or somebody following you. It was a good feeling. My name is Joe LaHoot. I'm 93 years old. I was born in this apartment in the other room in 1922. The store was below the apartment when I was born, and still is today. My mother ran the store, and we worked with her. I didn't have a lot of friends. There was a store on Main Street, and they had a pair of skis, and a friend of ours, he bought skis for me. It's a sport that I took to. You know, I liked it. That was my hobby. Right after the war, directly after the war, I put the goddamn skis on and got out there and did it. It was my idea to start selling skis, anything for the outdoors. One side of the store was groceries and beer, and up in the left-hand corner, I had my little shop going. You know, if you look at the front door and the glass around the front of the store is the same as it was in those days. They'd go in the back and take a hunk of cheese and take a bottle of beer, and, you know, they made a good time out of it. Cannon was the beginning in the East. You had to ski Cannon. You used to buy a ticket for 25 cents. And I skied there all my life. And skied hard. We didn't fool around, you know. I loved to ski, and I loved to be a part of the what was going on.
I don't see anybody here from representing North Country. Ski Bum, the Warren Miller Story is a remarkable 90-minute biography of American skiing's favorite media mogul. It's told through archival footage and interviews with Warren's friends, wife, and children, and by Warren himself in a long interview shot in 2018. Warren suffered trauma and tragedy in his career, but always climbed back through sheer determination and hard work. Many thanks to the producers Patrick Creedon and Christine O'Malley, Joe Berry, and Jeff Conroy. The film is a must-see and is now available on Amazon Prime. So if you want to stream it, I highly recommend it.
Our second film award is for the movie Ski Bum, the Warren Miller Story. Co-produced by Christine O'Malley of O'Malley Creedon Productions, Jeff Conroy of Bobcat Studios, and Joseph Berry Jr. The film was directed by Patrick Creedon, also of O'Malley Creedon Productions. This film is a 90-minute presentation of Warren Miller's life, told through the archival footage woven with over a dozen testimonials and the final interview with Warren Miller himself. Here's a quick sample of the film's depiction of America's most successful ski filmmaker. Accepting the award, co-producer Jeff Conroy.
Okay, Jeff, that was impressive. Jeff, take it away.
You can see that was a pre-COVID hair picture. It's Yeah, listen, I mean, getting to make this film as both a skier and storyteller to tell Warren's story is an immense honor. You know, really, really great. And you know, I think you could probably make an entire series about the life of Warren. He lived such a rich and full existence. And you know, I was fortunate to have a great team with Patrick and Christine and Joe Barry that we all could kind of gather up, and we were able, you know, Warren and his wife Lori welcomed us into their home, and we basically camped out there to make this film. And it was, you know, it was really great to be able to get someone in their 90s to sit down in a few sessions for 9 hours to tell his story. So really, you know, it's really just an honor. And Patrick, you want to add too? But thank you for this, ISHA.
Yeah. Thanks to ISHA for this award. Thanks to Jeff, who did an amazing job. Jeff is actually the person who conducted the interview with Warren. That interview alone took 3 days. We shot it over the course of 3 days. Warren, I believe, was 92 at the time. So we would interview for an hour, and he would go get a bite to eat and come back and talk some more. And, you know, there were times during that 3-day interview where I know Jeff asked him many times, do you want to just stop? Do you want to just take a break? Do you want to, have you done enough of this? And he said, no, I want to do this. I want to tell my entire life story from start to finish. In the meantime, I was on a different part of Warren's property interviewing the Egan brothers and Scott Schmidt and a bunch of the other skiers who had come out to spend time with Warren and to be a part of our film. So what we didn't know at the time was, in a way, this was all of them saying goodbye to Warren. This was the last time any of those people got to hang out with Warren and to let him know what he meant to them and what he meant to skiing. He died 8 months after we did our interview with him. He did get to see part of the film before it was finished. He was very impressed with what we were making and what we were doing. So anyways, it's just been a great honor. The thing I love most about Warren, and I think the thing that's maybe overlooked sometimes, is obviously he loved skiing. That was the thing that was in his heart and that he spent his whole life doing. But he also loved storytelling. He was a storyteller, and it was important. It was as important to him to travel and to tell stories as it was to ski and to meet other skiers. It was just, he just loved every part of being a storyteller. And that's why it was such a thrill for us to make this movie. I do want to give a shout out to our editor, Josh Earl, who did an amazing job. He is such a gifted storyteller in his own right. I also want to thank our associate producer, Nelson Tracy, who watched every single Warren Miller film. There's 68 of them at the time. And he did a wonderful job. So we had a great team, and it was great working with Jeff and all of our team on this film. So thanks so much for this award, Seth, and I hope you all get a chance to see the film. I think you'll enjoy it.
Thank you, guys.
Well, I certainly loved the film. The ISHA Cyber Award is presented for creating a website that contributes substantially to the preservation, distribution, and expansion of skiing's historical record. And we're pleased to present the 2020 Cyber Award to Patrick Thorne for his new website, dryslopenews.com. The site records the 100-year history of skiing way off-piste. That means off snow, really. Patrick has spent 30 years traveling the world to write about skiing and operates several popular newsy websites, notably inthesnow.com. He also contributes from time to time to our own website, skiinghistory.org.
A Cyber Award this year goes to dryslopenews.com by Patrick Thorne, who learned to ski on a dry slope as a child. Thorne documents that dry land slopes have been a major factor in the success of the global ski industry. His new website streams all things dry land worldwide. Artificial slopes using carpet or matting in place of snow have allowed millions of people to learn to ski or snowboard in areas without reliable natural snowfall. The earliest artificial surfaces manufactured specifically for skiing date from the 1950s, and since then, more than 1,000 slopes have been built in more than 50 countries, with as many companies involved in their manufacture. The slopes come in multiple shapes and sizes, so no two have ever been the same. DrySlopeNews.com includes a directory of existing and former dry slope operations with a timeline history going back to Vienna and the Schneepalast of 1927. In addition, Patrick operates the news site InTheSnow.com and its sister site IndoorSnowNews.com, covering the Snow Dome universe. Patrick Thorne.
Well, Patrick can't be with us today, but he has recorded a video, and we'll go straight into that.
Hello from the Scottish Highlands. I wanted to say thank you very much to the International Skiing History Association for this fabulous award. Really sorry I can't be there today with you, travelling, which is something I don't do very often these days. It's great to get this award and recognition for DrySlopeNews.com. I don't know how many people know what dry slopes are. Maybe most people know slopes. Skiing without any snow. It's always meant a lot to me because I learned to ski on one in a flat part of England with very little snow back in the 1970s when I was still at school. My school friends and I were all sent to one to learn the basics before we went on a school trip to the Alps. And I've always been grateful to the fact it existed and gave me a sort of introduction to skiing before I could get on some snow. And I think hundreds of these slopes have been developed in countries around the world, and hundreds of thousands, probably millions of people, a lot of them in urban areas that couldn't afford to splash out large amounts of money to head off to the mountains to find out whether they like skiing or not, found out for very little money that they liked skiing and then splashed out loads of money and went off to the mountains. So I think we've got a lot to thank them for. It also excites me that people will do anything to go skiing, even if there's no snow. They've skied on everything from pine needles to little bits of plastic, sawdust, soda crystals. It's been fascinating finding out the history of what people have skied on before they started developing more permanent surfaces in the 1960s and 70s. Anyway, take a look at DrySlopeNews.com, maybe the timeline if you're interested. And thanks again for this award. It's great to get a bit of recognition for all the work I put into the site. Thanks again and all the best.
Well, the high point of this program for me is presentation of the ISHA Lifetime Achievement Award, presented for contributions over a substantial period of time to ski history, ski journalism, photography, film, radio, or television. This year, I'm delighted to present the award to Der Schneehase, in English, the Snow Hare. Published annually by the Swiss Academic Ski Club, or SAS, Der Schneehase first appeared in 1924 with Walter Amstutz as editor. For almost 90 years and 40 editions, the yearbook has covered ski racing and ski culture in general, preserving the history of the sport in deeply researched and profusely illustrated articles. Today, Der Schneehase takes the form of a handsome, large format hardcover book. I have the most recent edition here. The new edition runs 295 pages with about 35 articles in German, French, and English. And because all 40 editions, right back to number 1 in 1924, are now available to read online for free, I found it to be a tremendous research resource. I'm very pleased that as a result of this award, I've gotten to know Ivan and consider him a good friend already. Ivan joined the SAS in 1969 while studying electrical engineering at ETH Zurich. He became editor of Der Schneehase in 2007. Ivan, I'd love you to speak about your work.
Hello, guys. I'm joined here by my very important friend in the back here. That's the Snow Rabbit. And I'm also joined here by several friends. I will mention their name. Dear Aisha, dear Seth, dear ski friends, as I have been told that I should be quite short, so I have prepared short text, which I will present right now. On behalf of the SIS, the Swiss Academic Ski Club, and its current president, Christoph Natter, who is also listening today to us, together with a friend of mine, Robert Kessler, and another friend of mine, Thomas Pohl. And on behalf also, of course, on my all Schneehase team, I would like to enthusiastically accept this fantastic Lifetime Achievement Award. As well, it arrived in Zurich some time ago and has a very prominent place. This beautiful award and this very nicely done video are both a great honor for the SAS and for the Schneehase. As we have seen in the video, this great honor belongs also to my 5 predecessors, and I repeat their names as chief editors of the Schneehase: Walter Amstutz, Arnold Kech, Kaspar Wolf, Raul Imsenk, and Martin Hodler. And of course, it belongs also to all their great Schneehase teams. When asked about the Schneehase and its 40 books so far, I like to refer to one of the most prominent supporters of the Schneehase, the current FIS president, Gianfranco Casper. At one of the vernissages for the Schneehase, which we traditionally organize at the FIS headquarters in Oberhofen, Gianfranco mentioned that he and the FIS are actually kind of jealous on the SIS because the FIS would not have anything like the Schneehase. Actually, a nice little episode. So my ski friends, in these not so easy times for our beloved ski sport and life in general, I would like to thank again to the ISHA and its leadership for everything they do and wish them good luck and a lot of success in preserving skiing history in the future. I hope to meet you soon physically, hopefully next year in Snowmass. Thank you.
And thank you, Yvonne. That's our program for this too eventful year of 2020. A video of this program will post soon on our website at skiinghistory.org/events. Thanks for joining us. Please join us again for the 2021 banquet at Snowmass, Colorado, April 7th of the new year. Good luck, ski safely, and stay healthy.